two people in baseball caps right now. Back row, sitting by each other, and are very squirmy right now. Such a cute relationship. Now, this is a relationship that it took them that long to make it official, which I appreciate the consideration and time you thoughtfully put into it. So I will give you guys a gold star for that. One just graduated, and the other is a senior now. So, moral of the story is the older people are dating. So if you're super young, just let them do the thing. You guys just enjoy life, right, Luke? Just enjoy life. Okay, we're gonna get into one announcement. Everyone say next Thursday. It's Valley Fair Day, and so we are all gonna meet at Valley Fair. For those of you who can make it, you're gonna meet at the front gate at 10 a.m. and we're gonna give you guys a ticket, and then we're going to enjoy Valley Fair. Most of our leaders are going. Now, I believe Valley Fair is open from 10 to 9. Leaders are only going to be there from 10 to 6. So if your parent would love for a leader to be present, then you'll probably want to get picked up at 6. If you can hang out longer, that's up to you and your parent, not me. A couple things. If you want to go to Valley Fair with us for the $35 ticket price. Now, some of you already have passes, and you don't have to worry about buying a ticket. But if you want to come with us for the $35 ticket price, you are going to RSVP online, so I know how many tickets to pre-order for the discount. Kate, can you raise your hand? Kate already has a pass, and so she's just going to meet us there at 10. She doesn't have to worry about RSVPing or a ticket, but she did let me know, so that's at least really nice. Ava has a pass. So if you have a pass, don't worry about RSVPing, but you could shoot me a text and be like, hey, I'm going to be there. It'd be just great to know who was all going to be there. So RSVP for Valley Fair Day. It's next Thursday, $35 ticket. Raise your hand if you're going to go on the wild thing. Anybody? If you're there, you're well. Okay. Raise your hand if you get motion sickness. Like you just don't, it doesn't, not your vibe. Oh, okay, Eli. You already signed up, buddy. You better not get motion sickness. So that's going to be really fun. And you can invite your friends. They just need to RSVP if they want the ticket price. If you have any questions, if it feels complicated, ask me afterwards. Oh, one more important thing about Valley Fair Day. If you are raise your hand if you have a license. Okay, you don't have a license. Okay. If you want to go to Valley Fair Day, you have a license. Raise your hand if you have a license again so I can see you. And you have your own vehicle. You can drive to Valley Fair. You can park. You can pay to park, get a receipt, and we will reimburse you that money. We'll give you back the money. But you have to keep a receipt. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. If you're younger and you're going to get dropped off, you don't have to even think about that. So it's going to be great. Okay, let's get into the question of the week. We haven't done this in a while because we haven't been together. Question of the week is, what's the hottest recorded temperature in Minnesota in the month of July?
100 degrees.
Higher than that.
103.
Higher than that.
106.
Higher than that. What is the hottest recorded temperature in Minnesota in the month of July?
109.
No.
112.
No.
113.
No. I'm not giving you more hints. You want it here? You can.
113.
No.
108.
No.
110.
No.
14.
No. No. I'm not gonna say.
120.
No. 120 be wild.
116.
No.
115.
115 it is. 115, Luke, find me afterwards. It says it was recorded in July 29th of 1917. So just just 100 years ago or more. That's no big deal. It's fine. Yes. No. Eli thinks I'm that old. Oh, also, one more thing. If you have social media, follow the EPEG Youth Instagram page. Go comment on our latest post for a chance to win a gift card, potentially to that restaurant, but for sure a restaurant. So, Ryan, you liked it, but you didn't comment on it. I need those comments. So, Lucy's apparently on Instagram, so she better comment on it. Just saying. Okay, we're getting into the game, and then we're all going to get into tonight's message. Listen very closely. I need 2 people. There will be a winner. You need to have a strong stomach and you need to be quick. I don't want no people getting up here and just like giving up right away and it's like lame. Think you can do it? Okay, let's get Alex up here. Who else? Wes is up here. Okay, Alex and Wes. One on this side, one on like the side of the table. Okay. So this is like my favorite smoothie brand. It's called Naked. Please don't get that right now, but Naked. Mighty Mango. Are you guys allergic to mangoes? You sure? Because I don't want to find out right now. Do you think it's going to be too hard for them to drink this whole thing? Okay, so what we're going to do... Okay, but let's be fair. Like, if Aiden was up here, it'd be gone. So you got to know. Like, he could just, like... He devoured those beans. But we already have our 2 people. We're going to do a timer, and we're going to see who's drinking, like, who's gotten the most gone in a certain amount of time. Okay, so I'm going to give you this one. You can take that one, Wes. It is cold. You guys can open it. No, you don't want it warmed up. That'd be nasty. You can open it up. I'm gonna set the timer. Don't drop it. Don't do anything. Don't do anything yet. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna get my stopwatch out. Okay. Should we give him a minute? He's saying 30 seconds. They think it's too much. Okay. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Ready? Set, go. Oh gosh. Strong stomachs, boys. Come on, you can do it. Come on, keep drinking it. Don't stop, don't stop. This is so good. I'm so sad I had to sacrifice this for this game because it's my favorite flavor. You gotta chug it. We're at 17 seconds. I feel like we had to give them more time. This isn't enough, guys. I mean, they really didn't dent. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We'll do 45 seconds. Anyone think Alex is gonna do it? There, I don't know. What about Wes? Okay, you guys can do it. You can do it. Okay, less than 10 seconds left. I'll barely put a 10 in there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, put it down. Whoa, I think Alex actually did more. Hold on. Don't mind me. Wait. Yeah, I think it's Alex by like the slightest bit. Can you all see it? This one? Sorry. That was so crazy. How are you guys? Please don't throw up. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna have to give it to Alex. But you guys can keep the smoothie. He's good. And do you want to keep it? You're not gonna drink this smoothie if you didn't chug it, okay, Luke? Sorry. That's just not how it works. I can't give you guys. Dude, great job, Alex. Great job, Wes. That was very challenging. Okay. Okay, if you are taking notes on your phone, you can go ahead and open your notes. Or maybe you have a piece of paper with you. You can open those up. We're going to get into tonight's message. Now, we haven't talked about the story of Joseph in a month. Is my mic working? Okay. Because we had VBX, we had 4th of July. Raise your hand if you had an awesome 4th of July. Anybody? Okay. And we have just not been together for a while. So tonight we're going to just finish the series, and then you guys are going to go into small groups, and it's going to be amazing. Raise your hand if you have been here for at least 1 or 2 of the parts of the story of Joseph. You've heard some of it a little bit. Okay, awesome. And if you don't remember, that's okay. So the title of the message in the series was When Life Gets Complicated, the story of Joseph. Joseph had a very complicated life. Raise your hand if you would say some complications have happened in your life at some point. Okay, yeah, we all would agree that that's true. And in tonight's message, if you were to go back, there's a lot of reading, so that's why we're not reading all of it. But if you were to go into the book of Genesis and see chapters 42 through 46, you would see different parts of what I'm talking about tonight. That's where they're found. But anyways, quick recap. Joseph was born. He was the favorite. And because he was a favorite, his brothers really hated him so much that they wanted to kill him. They decided that instead of killing him, they were going to sell him to someone so they could make money off of him. And also remember, their dad, he made Joseph something. Does anyone remember what that was? Yeah, the coat of many colors. So he made him this really cool coat. It was special. Did everyone get a coat or just Joseph? Just Joseph, right? He was like the favorite child. Raise your hand if you're the favorite child. Some of you. Only children raise their hands. Okay, I love it. And another thing about Joseph, when he was growing up, he interpreted Tendo and Eli. He didn't interpret, he was given dreams, and he kind of knew what their meaning was. So fast forward, his brothers hate him. They sell him. Raise your hand if you ever have sibling rivalry. Okay, a few of you. Even as you get older, it's kind of a thing, right? So he gets sold, and he gets sold to a guy named Potiphar. Everyone say Potiphar. And Potiphar really likes Joseph. He thinks he's a great guy. He does excellent work, so he kind of treats him above the standard slave. And Potiphar's wife, who's basically a snake, sees Joseph, and she's like, oh, he is very handsome, and I want him. But did Joseph want her? No. Did Joseph tell her, no, not interested? Basically. And then what happened? Joseph gets accused of doing something he didn't do because the wife hates him that much. And so Joseph's put in prison. Everyone say prison. Anyone ever been to prison before? Toured to prison? Visited? Okay. I have yet to go. To visit. Just clarifying that. Yes. So after he was put in prison, 2 people who were also in prison with him had dreams. Did Joseph interpret those dreams? Yes. And he interpreted them accurately. So what their dreams were and the meaning of their dreams actually came to happen. And so Joseph kind of became known. And what's amazing is Pharaoh, everyone say Pharaoh, he had the most amount of power in this country, in this place called Egypt. Pharaoh found out about Joseph because Pharaoh had dreams. And when you have dreams and you can't interpret them in biblical times, it became very concerning. And so no matter how many magicians, no matter how many people who knew all of the things, no matter how many of them tried to interpret these dreams, they could not. And so what happened is Joseph is known for interpreting dreams. Pharaoh brings him to himself. And guess what? Does Joseph interpret those dreams accurately? Yes. And here's what the dreams are. I know it's kind of a lot of details, but stick with me. The Pharaoh had dreams that there would be 7 years of abundance and of like basically fruitfulness and really good things in their land. Like a really good economy. Okay? Imagine like 7 years with like everything prospering and it's amazing. Followed by 7 years of starvation and desperation and what they would consider famine. Imagine living in America and for 7 years there was a famine and you could barely buy groceries. It's getting expensive already, right? But that's basically what was happening. And so Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams correctly, right, Nick and Luke? Yes, he did. So then what happens? Pharaoh takes Joseph, who was bought as a slave in Egypt, and makes him the second most powerful person in the land of Egypt. Joseph, when he entered Egypt, he should have been the bottom of the barrel. He should have been considered, and of course, unfairly, but that was the reality of Egypt. And he went from that to becoming the second most powerful person in the land of Egypt. I mean, imagine becoming the vice president when you should not have been like anywhere near that. So he had a lot of power and authority. And so what happened is the dreams came true. And so there were 7 years of really great abundance and prosperity in the land of Egypt. So Pharaoh puts Joseph in charge and he says, for these 7 years of good things, when we have so much, we have abundance, I want us as a country, I want us as a place to save. How many of your parents talk about saving? Like when you get your paycheck, right? Save this, save that, save that. Saving's kind of boring if you ask me, but, produces good things. So, got to take your chances here and there. But anyways, in fact, some kid today before service started said she was saving up for a $200 iPad. She's like 5. I'm like, you don't need that. Okay, we don't need that, but okay, fine, whatever. Do you want to do, sis? Anyways, So Pharaoh, he helps this economy because they save, so that when the 7 years of famine, everyone say famine, when the 7 years of famine come, they have enough food from the years that they had saved up so well. Raise your hand if you currently have a savings account and you're saving. Great. Okay, a few of us. Here's what I want to get to tonight. Because the 7 years of famine were so severe, it began to spread. And so it actually spread to the place where Joseph's brothers still lived. And because when there's a famine, you're hungry and you need food, Joseph's father told his brothers, I want you to go to Egypt, I want you to travel a ways, and I want you to get the food because Egypt was smart enough to save food throughout those 7 years. So Joseph's father sends Joseph's brothers to Egypt. Now, let me remind you, Joseph's brothers thought Joseph was dead. And if they had any hope that he wasn't dead, they would assume he would be a slave. They had absolutely no idea, completely clueless, just like I was that Dylan and Lucy were dating a few minutes ago. They were completely clueless that Joseph was the second most powerful person in Egypt. So his brothers, they arrive at Egypt, and Joseph sees them because Joseph recognizes who they are, but they don't recognize Joseph. Okay, imagine that though. Like, your brothers think you're dead, but at least when they see you, wouldn't they think, oh, like he should be dead, but that's gotta be Ryan, right? Like that's gotta be him. No, they just didn't even recognize him, so that's like a super slap in the face, in my opinion. And in that moment, scripture tells us, as he begins to see his brothers, he remembers the dreams that God had given him years ago. And those dreams were that one day his brothers would bow down to him, one day they would come. And when the brothers came to Egypt, they had to bow down because he's an authority. And then here's what's crazy. Joseph, he starts to get what I would say pretty angered by the fact that his brothers don't know who he is. They don't recognize him. He probably starts to get a lot of emotions about, dude, these guys actually tried to kill me. They probably told my dad I'm dead. They lied about me. They sold me. I mean, he probably started thinking about all these things that his brothers had done. And so Joseph, because he's the one with the upper power here, he starts to play games with his brothers. Raise your hand if you ever like to play some tricks or games on your siblings in the past, right? Right? Like sometimes it's just fun, okay? So first off, Joseph remembered the dream. He remembered that what was happening in the moment was what God had promised would happen one day. Then he starts to play games on his brothers, and he starts accusing them. Now, this is in a few chapters, and there's different parts of the story, so you'd have to go read it specifically. But I want to summarize it for you because it is a lot, but it's really good. He starts to accuse them of stealing. So he basically puts a silver cup, everyone say silver cup, in their sack, hides it, tells them to go, and then he tells his officials, bro, he stole my silver cup. Go stop him. So the officials go, they bring the brothers back, they open their sacks, and they see, dude, there's a silver cup in here. And Joseph accuses them of stealing it when Joseph is the one who actually planted it in there. Okay, so that's one example of Joseph playing games with them. Yes, revenge, right? Because he's so upset. Like, what else are you going to do? You can't really punish them for doing nothing, so he has to plant something so that it seems like they did something bad so that he can actually punish them because he's the one who has authority to do that, which is wild. Yes, I've studied the story. That's why I'm able to tell you guys this stuff. But not only is he playing games with them, accusing them of lying, he keeps some of the brothers hostage and says, until you bring back your younger brother, which was Benjamin, which this is going to be complicated, but remember, Joseph's dad had 4 women he was in bed with. And only one of those wives provided 2 brothers who were full brothers, full blood. His family was complicated, clearly. And so Joseph tells his brothers, here he's like, is your father still living? And they're like, yes. And then he asks them, do you have a younger brother? And then they say, yeah, we have a younger brother. He's back with our dad. And he's like, well, I'm going to keep this brother hostage until you bring me the younger brother, which his name is Benjamin. Anyone know of Benjamin? Yeah? Okay. He's like, until you bring me Benjamin back, this brother's staying hostage here. So he's just playing games with them. He's straight up upset, and he doesn't know how to deal with all of the emotions that he's having. At the heart of it is unforgiveness. And clearly, if your brother sold you, and they thought you were dead and they lied about you, and now they're coming back getting food from you because you're the one who was smart enough to make sure the country saved food. I think unforgiveness is like a reasonable thing to be running through his mind. But what unforgiveness does in this story, as Joseph continues to play games on his family, is unforgiveness will encourage you to do wild things. Now, wild isn't always bad. I just want to make that clear because I say the word wild all the time, and some things are wild and they're not bad. But he was doing some wild things. Like, this man was given the second most powerful position in Egypt, and he's wasting his time playing games on his brothers when he could have made himself known right away. He could have encouraged his dad and younger brother to come back, and they could have started living potentially a really great life together, but instead he was letting unforgiveness, encouraging him to do wild things, wasting time, wasting his brother's time. And so I guess I would just encourage you tonight that if there is unforgiveness with something in your life, I just want you to be aware that it could encourage you to do wild things. So as you maybe are wrestling with some sort of unforgiveness, I just want you to ask yourself, is it encouraging me to send really nasty text messages to someone because I don't like them, even though they might not understand why I don't like them? Or is it encouraging me to fill in the blank because I don't really know all the different examples because I don't know the unforgiveness in your guys' hearts? But I would just encourage you that unforgiveness encourages you to do wild things. So just be aware of that. The last thing is that in the closing chapters about Joseph actually tells his brothers, once they finally come to a place where they can talk and Joseph reveals himself, he's like, hey guys, I want you to know I'm Joseph, the brother you sold. You probably thought I was dead, but I'm alive. And his brothers are in shock. Anyone ever been in shock before? You're like, wait, what? They're in shock, okay? So Joseph instructs them, hey, you should really go bring dad and my younger brother. You should bring them back because I really want to see him. In this moment, his brothers thought that they would be punished because they did do something that was bad. They thought they would be punished by Joseph. They thought they would not get any food because they were receiving food. And Joseph tells them something really interesting in the final chapters. He tells them, I want you to know that even though you sold me, even though I was sold as a slave, even though you lied that I was dead, somehow, or not somehow, this was God's plan. And if God hadn't made this plan to be successful, I wouldn't have been able to come to Egypt. I wouldn't have been able to interpret these dreams, which then when I interpreted these dreams correctly, I saved a nation from dying of starvation in a famine of 7 years. So the last thing I want to encourage you with in this series is the plan of God does not need to make sense to us. It doesn't need to make sense for it still to be successful. As individuals, and especially I feel like this happens as you get older, but especially kids and as you guys are in your teenage years and you're trying to figure things out, you have a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions. Adults have a lot of questions, but we want to know a lot of answers. And in life, there are a lot of questions we will not get the answers to. And it's not always great. Actually, most of the time it's not great. But somehow through all of slavery, through being sold, through being rejected, abandoned, through all the harsh years that he was not in high power, Joseph was still able to somehow decide, this sucks, but somehow this was God's plan all along. And I forgive you guys because I know that God still worked the good out of what was really ugly. So I want to pray for you guys before we end tonight, but I just want you to think about the idea that even when it doesn't make sense, even when life doesn't make sense, some things are happening, somehow God's plan can still be successful. And I want to encourage you guys that when someone's going through a hard time, you guys know sometimes people go through really hard times. I would encourage you to go up to someone and be like, oh, it's okay, God's plan is still, good. Because sometimes people don't need to hear that in the moment. Sometimes they just need to hear I'm here for you and I'm praying for you and I know this sucks and I just want to be your friend. And also you can still encourage them as time goes on that God's plan will still be successful for them. So if you guys want to stand up, I'm going to pray for you. And then we're going to get into small groups. And then you guys can have some free time. You can play Gaga Ball, do whatever you want. Luke, make sure I get you your gift card. One more thing. Actually, I'll say this after I pray. So if everyone would just close their eyes for a few moments. God, thanks for tonight. We thank you for scripture because it tells us a lot of things about who you are, that you still make things successful even when it doesn't make sense to us. Thank you that you are a God who does give us dreams, and that you also are a God who can give wisdom on how to understand those dreams as well. Lord, I pray you bless these students and help them have a great week. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen. I know not all of you are going to camp, but a few questions I've already gotten about camp, and I'll just answer them now, and you'll get more details as we get closer. One, I don't know the color for camp, so if you're like, what color are we? I don't know yet. And then also, the bus leaves at 8 o'clock Monday morning for camp, so if you're coming, it's going to leave at 8. Probably should be here a little sooner than that. You guys can go to small groups. 10th through 12th guys, I'm looking at Sam, just seeing me reference, are with Ian, so over there by the door 4. And then if you're 7th through 9th, you're going to go over by Zeke, and I'll be there in a moment. So if you're 7th through 9th guys, you're going to go with Zeke in the white hoodie. And if you're a 10th through 12th girl, you're going with Amazon in my office. If you are the younger girls, Mia and Daniel, what age are you guys again?